Chapter 3. In this chapter, the researcher went into depth about the target group, how many learners, level of learners, plan for every learner. The researcher explained in detail of how each material was made. She stated the cause of each material and how each material was obtained. Design of the project. 3.1 Overview of Planning Approach. The researcher was attached to the Blueberry Hill Nursery School and further placed at Year 2A to work along with the class teacher, Mrs. Toya Francis, whose role was the provision of guidance and advice throughout the conduct of the study. The researcher proceeded with the observation and selection of the target group, at which she was placed and exposed to 4 of the teaching practice. The researcher observed that 12 of the learners in Year 2A are slow learners. The subject area was chosen because the researcher saw social study, science, health and family life, and art and craft as a way of getting pupils to be actively involved in their own learning and develop a variety of skills and social participation in their classroom. The researcher examined the Year 2 scheme and selected the topics market vendor for our study. The topic was divided into 4 subtopics after taking into consideration the level and age of the pupil. The 4 subtopics that was used, the first one was the role of the market vendor. The second one is fruits and vegetables have different tastes which are detected by the tongue. The third subtopic is fruits and vegetables give us vitamins and nutrients. The fourth subtopic is the market vendor through artistic expression. Pupils to be actively involved in their own learning and develop a variety of skill and social participation in their classroom. Followed by the planning of resource unit and lesson plan. The materials and resources to be used in the delivery of the lessons relevant to this study were the researcher create a suitable learning environment for the pupil. As a result, the pupil were very cooperative, which contributed to making learning interesting and exciting. It is a fact that effective teaching occurs when the learning experience structured by the teacher caters to the intellectual needs of not just one but every pupils. The researcher would like to recommend that in order to stimulate students' interest and enhance learning, teachers need to use appropriate resource and most importantly, move away from didactic method of teaching. Teachers are to realize that we are in the 21st century and as such upon us to utilize various teaching strategies that cater for not one but all learners. Point 2. Identification of students, teachers, and school environment. Identification of pupils. The total number of pupils at Year 2A is 15 pupils. The catchment area from which they came in terms of distance from the school is Blueberry Hill. B. Teachers and school environment. Name of school: Blueberry Hill Nursery School. Location of school: Blueberry Hill, Wismar, Linden, Guyana. Type of school: nursery school. Picture showing the layout of Blueberry Hill Nursery School. History of the Blueberry Hill Nursery School. The St. Bernadette Kindergarten School began its operation on September 13, 1970, with 2 young church members Miss Pansy Gloss, and Bernadette Wilson, with enrollment of 50 children between the age of 3 and 6 years old. It was housed in St. Bernadette Hall, which is attached to the Mount Carmel Catholic Church. Furnitures was borrowed from the church for sitting accommodation, and each child was required to pay a fee of $5,000 per month in advance. A small fee was given to the church as an offering. Teachers were paid and materials for school were bought. The school then operated on a whole day basis for 5 days a week, from 9 hours to 11 a.m. and 13 hours to 14 hours. During the period 1974 to 1975, Miss Pansy Glasgow attended a training program on the young child, which was conducted by Guyana Association of Child Educators. This made her more competent in teaching young children. In 1976, when the government of Guyana assumed full responsibility for education from nursery to university, the St. Bernadette Kindergarten was merged with the Teachers Olean Kindergarten from the northern side of Blueberry Hill and was given the name St. Bernadette Nursery School. The Ministry of Education officially changed the school name to Mount Carmel Nursery in 1978. In January 1980, Miss Pansy Glasgow was transferred and Miss Juliet Beckles was appointed teacher in charge acting. Then in 1980, she was appointed head teacher acting and was transferred. Hence, Miss Debbie Beckles was appointed head teacher acting until being appointed head teacher in August 1991. In October 1993, the then Mount Carmel Nursery was relocated to the teaching apartment of Christian Berg-Wismar Secondary because the Mount Carmel Catholic Church no longer wanted the school to be housed in their building. School continued there until it took up residence in its own building in teachers compound from the 13th of March 2001. On the 1st of August 2010, a teacher, Miss Debbie, types of courses offered at the Blueberry Hill Nursery School are language experience, mathematics, social studies, science, guided reading, shared reading, art and craft, music, storytelling, staff composition. Monifa Saul, GHM, Latoya Francis, SAM, Shanette Barnwell, AM, Janelle Britton, SAM, Nakasi Benjamin, AM, Kevin Thomas, AM, Jem Isaac, AM, Andrea Lancaster, AM, Tiffany LaRose, AQM, Ashana Kerbin, AQM, Jalinda Oyd, AQM, Shanika Duncan, AQM, Tamara McCalmon, TQM, Shaquiza Silly, TQM, Esther Brown, TQM. Organizational chart of the Blueberry Hill Nursery School. Supervisory chart of the Blueberry Hill Nursery School. Description of construction of material, including time taken for construction of material. Lesson 1. Printed and duplicate materials. Activity sheet, picture cards, game, maze, money. Non-projected display material, stall, marking. artificial fruits. Lesson 2. Printed and duplicate material, worksheet, pictures, cutout. Non-projective display material, model, tongue. Lesson 3. Printed and duplicate material, worksheet, picture, sort. Non-projective display material, aid/chart, nutrition. Lesson 4. Printed and duplicate material, no. Non-projective display material, drawn market scene, artboard, print and brush, apron. Print and duplicate materials. The worksheet material used were typewritten on my personal computer and printed by a service provider in the community. The pictures used were also printed, cut out and used in certain and other activity. Non-projective displayed. The stall was made from environmental safe and friendly materials such as wood, nail, painted and covered with wallpaper to resemble a real market vendor stall. Colorful, artificial and real fruits to resemble that of the real-life market vendor experience. A model of a tongue was made using materials such as a cardboard, sheet foam, silicone, and corks for a pop-up fruit effect created on the tongue to show tasting. A chart was made to show the different vitamins some fruits and vegetable gives. The material used: cardboard, sheet foam, glue stick, corks for pop-up effect, and wool to hang the chart. The drawn market scene board was made using materials such as wooden strip, card, board strip, and cloth. Model of the market stall. First, the researcher gather our materials, which are wood, nails, foam, wallpaper, plywood, and PVC ceiling. Secondly, the researcher mark out the strips of wood, then cut a 1 by 1 inch piece of wood into 8 pieces. Also, the researcher cut 4 pieces of the plywood, which was measured at 12 by 12. The researcher then assembles the frame using the 8 pieces of 1 by 1 strip wood using a nail to hold the frame together. Next, the researcher took the 4 pieces of 12 by 12 plywood and nailed them onto the frame using a hammer. And furthermore, the researcher used 2 pieces of PVC ceiling and glued them onto the roof of the stall, covered it with 1 sheet of gray foam, and finally used wallpaper to cover the outside of the stall to make it look attractive. The nutrition chart. First, the researcher gathered all our materials, which was 1 cardboard, 1 big cardboard box, 1 glue stick, 1 glue gun, corks, pictures, and wool. Secondly, the researcher cut the cardboard box to the exact size of the cardboard, glue them together. The researcher then cut small piece of foam and paste the foam on the outline of the cardboard. Thirdly, the researcher pasted picture of fruits and vegetables on a brown cardboard, and then the researcher pasted scotch tape over the picture of the fruits and vegetables that were pasted on the brown cardboard. The researcher then cut out the picture of the fruits and vegetables and used corks to glue them on the back of the pictures. The pictures were then glued in order on the first cardboard. Finally, the researcher pasted the words fruits and vegetables at the top of the aid and glued the wool to make a handle so that the aid can be huge. Drawing board. First, the researcher gathered our materials, which were a strip of wood, cloth, a pencil, a paintbrush, and paint. Secondly, the researcher measured and cut 4 pieces of 1 by 1 strip and nailed them together to create a flat square frame. The researcher then cut the cloth to the same size and staples the cloth and cardboard to the frame. Finally, the researcher drew and painted the market scene on the drawing board. Model of the tongue. First, the researcher gathered our materials, which were white paper, foam, 1 cardboard, cork, and glue. Secondly, the lip were sketched on a red foam. A pair of scissors were used to cut out the shape of the sketch lip. After cutting around within the boundary of the lip, a carton box was then used to back the shaped lips to have a more firm or durable shape. Thirdly, silicone paste was used to layer both material together. The tongue was sketched using pink paper and cut out. Likewise, using carton box to back the shaped tongue out of the paste. Paste-covered cardboard foam was used on top of the tongue to show the different taste buds location. Finally, to complete the model of the tongue was placed in the center of the lip. The edge of the tongue henceforth enhanced the entire model to stand on its own, bracing each other as a lip standing and the tongue giving support.